Right, well today I am on the TRX4. As you can see, I've made a start of stripping it down. I've never cleaned this in the time I've had it, and I've had it a long time. All I've really killed is the motor, so I've had a hobby wing. Well, had a hobby wing. I put a hobby wing in it. So I thought it was time that I cleaned it all up, refreshed it all, ready for autumn. I've started stripping the front axle down. As you can see, I've got one portal there. I've got one portal in there, and I've got the diff out at the moment. So what I'm going to do is re-grease, well, I'm going to clean everything with my parts cleaner in there. And I've organised a ball bearing set from RC Bearings, the place I get my lorry bearings from. So I'm going to replace all the bearings with ball bearings. So, I will basically all this, obviously the diff case is there, come off with the 4 Allen bolts, and then the locking diff pulled out. Don't know if I can show you, but basically that slides in and out like that. Oh, you're not even seeing it. That slides in and out like that's out, unlocked, and then that slides in and that locks the diff. Done by the servo on that arm there. So yeah, I've just taken the large wheel off so I can get to the gears inside. So again, I can clean them all, grease them all, and put them back together and replace with bearings. So I'll show you how to take apart a portal shortly. I'll just rebuild this centre diff up, put it back in, and then I can show you this process when I do the rear one. But anyway, I will make a start, or carry on, shall I say, and come back to you shortly. Right, so the other side is done and back together, as is the diff. So moving on to this side, I've now got a collection of used bearings. Right, so to undo this, we've got to undo this grub screw here to take the hex nut off, and then we've got to undo all the Allen keys around the outside here, and the 2 on the front to separate the casing. So I'll quickly do that now. Right, I've got the casing off. In the other one, the bearings stayed in the casing, but this time they've stayed on the gears themselves. I think it's because they're probably quite tight on there. So obviously we've got to just slip these bearings off. I'll put the replacements in the case. And then we've got to undo these 3 retaining bolts, which pulls this big bearing and shaft out with that cog. And then we can pull the main one out and change the bearings on that. So I'll just dismantle that and then I'll show you in a second. Right, there we go, stripped apart, new bearings in everything, ready to go. New one on the back there. So I just got to put it back together, grease it all up and tighten it up. And then we can move on to the next part of the job. So it really is that simple. All the bearings pretty much came off with a little tap or a little twist of a screwdriver. So it's well worth doing. So yeah, I'll put it back together now and we'll get it back on the car. Right, so the rear portals are in this casing, and all they are is the 2 bolts there and there that go through there, and then you can just pull them out. So they strip down, look the same as those. There's the front, sorry, 2 on that side, and you've got your 6 on the back there. This looks a little bit different, but we'll see when it comes out. So I'll strip them down now. I'll also pull the other shaft out, and then I can get the diff out. So I'll strip this down first, just see what it's like, and I'll come back in a second. Right, well, the back axle's apart. Again, it was just undo the 4 screws on the back that hold the cover plate on, and then just prise the diff, the lock-in selector out the way, and then lift the diff out. Again, we'll take it all apart, clean it up, undo those 4 bolts to get to the little cogs inside. These bearings are actually good. They're clean and free, whereas all the rest were pretty manky. But obviously we're still going to change them anyway, as we've got a whole kit. Same with the rear, but these are knackered. They're all crusty and seized and horrible. So we'll change all those and then we'll move on to the other side. What's it called? Portal. And then I think we're going to have a lot of bearings left over, so there must be gearbox bearings, so we'll get into that afterwards. Okay, so I've started on the gearbox. Now to undo the gearbox, there's one right underneath at the front there. Where's my finger? There, just there. And then there's two from above, you can see them there. Then lift the gearbox out and the motor comes out as well. You've got to undo the pinion and you've got to take off the cog on the end of the gearbox. And then you can split the gearbox case apart from there with the few screws. And as you can see, you've got two bearings inside and one on the outside there. So we'll change those and then we'll pull the shafts out and do the bearings on the other side of that. And I think that other case comes apart as well. So it's quite in depth, but it's fairly simple. I know I haven't filmed it step by step, but I'll give you an idea. There's several screws around there, all Allen heads. So it is fairly simple. It's just being methodical, slowly, and taking your time and not forcing anything. So I'll get these ones changed in the casing. Then I can move these shafts over into their respective holes so I know which order they go in. And then I'll look at the bearings at the back of that. Right, so I am pretty rubbish at this YouTube thing because I've put it back together now. The gearbox, there was lots of parts, lots of little washers, and I needed to concentrate on what bit went where. I didn't want to put everything down, film it, and forget. I could have put it on the tripod, I suppose, but I didn't. But anyway, it's back together. The gearbox was a little bit more technical, but again, if you concentrate on it and follow what goes where, you should be okay. The only issue I have got is, now I've finished it, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bearings left over. As far as I can see, I've changed them all. But there you go. They're in the gearbox anyway, so the ones in the gearbox seem to already have ball bearings and they're in good condition. So if I have missed any in there, it's all right. I've definitely done them all in the axles and the diffs and the portals, so that's all I'm really worried about. So yeah, maybe in another year's time when I put another ball bearing kit in, I might find out where I went wrong. But anyway, that's that for now. I'm going to put the battery on and give it a test. Right, so a quick test. This will demonstrate the diff locks. So this is with no diff locks in. As you can see, one back and one front is doing the main drive. So put front diff lock in. You can see one back and both fronts. So now put them all in. So front and rear diff locks. They're all spinning and go straight up. So it looks like the rebuild has worked. Excellent.